wanting to share with you a book that I just read. It is called The Pumpkin Plan. This was an amazing read, and I want to tell you just a little bit about it because if you're in a position where you are working to build a business, if you are entrepreneurial in any stretch of the imagination, in any industry at all, I guarantee you, like Mike Michalowicz, like myself, you did not go into this business with the intention of working forever, your whole life, running yourself ragged, wearing all the hats, being all the things, and being super stressed out and owning a job. That is not the entrepreneurial life that you are hoping for. So if you are looking to build a super successful business and build profit and profitability, I really encourage you to dig into this book. Super fun, super easy read. If you know anything about Mike Michalowicz, he's got a fun, good-humored, natural, easy-to-read style. He's really authentic, and you will find yourself laughing and really cracking up and resonating with him as you read this book. So just a few things I really want to point out. What in the world do pumpkins, and what is a pumpkin plan? And what is this giant pumpkin doing? Well, did you know that there's pumpkin farmers who literally find the way to grow the biggest pumpkins in the world, and they compete and they figure out which are the biggest pumpkins, and then they win prizes. This is like really actually a thing. And Mike used this analogy of building a giant business that relates to being a giant pumpkin farmer. Like, I'm really talking about Guinness Book of World record-breaking, prize-winning pumpkins. Not just your natural everyday pumpkin. These are pumpkins that I can't even remember. I think they're like 4,000 pounds. They're giant. Maybe 400. I don't remember. They're really big. You're not going to be able to pick them up by yourself. So what is a giant pumpkin business, and how in the world does that relate to building your business? What is a giant, what is it about growing giant pumpkins? How do you do that? So he actually found out that there is a process for growing giant pumpkins. And he said, this is exactly the same thing that you need to do in your business. So I just want to lay out the very quick, top, easy steps. And by the way, I'm attempting to watch the chat. If you have questions, I will check at the end because I'm not very good at talking and watching my screen at the same time. So I want to let you know. So he says, first, you want to leverage or identify and leverage your biggest natural strengths. Then you want to sell and sell and sell and sell. And then he says, as your business grows, fire all of your small-time rotten clients. Now, I almost cringe inside when I share that with you because that sounds so heartless. And if you're anything like me, you have a giant heart and you want to help everyone. The problem is that in a business, if you literally are trying to do everything and serve everyone, the problem is you will never actually serve them well, and you'll never actually grow the business that will help you be profitable and help your clients be profitable as well. And this is something that I took straight to heart. And moment of vulnerability, I have been that person trying to help everyone and save everyone, and realizing that that would be the definition of maybe a charity, but not a productive, profitable business. So how do you grow a giant business like a giant pumpkin farmer? Let me finish this list here. So he said, then what you want to do is, after you have fired all of your small-time rotten clients, he goes through a process on how to do that. And really what this means is the ones that are draining your energy, or that it's not your unique zone of genius. It is not the thing that thrills and energizes you, and it's something that's not as profitable. So the ones that are draining time, energy, and attention and resources, but not helping you grow. Then he said, identify your top clients and remove the rest of your less promising clients. This is what they do with the pumpkins. So instead of trying to grow 100 big pumpkins, they literally will plant a pumpkin seed that they spend thousands of dollars for, by the way, which is insane. But they go like to a specific place and to conferences to find the ideal pumpkin seed that they then plant. They nurture, they water, they fertilize this thing, and they then, when the vine is growing, they don't let all the pumpkins grow. They cut off all the small pumpkins so that one pumpkin can thrive and actually become something. They put all of the nutrients and energy and capability of this soil into one pumpkin, not into a lot of pumpkins. So that was really, really interesting. So that is the same in growing your business. Then he said, never let distractions, often labeled as opportunities, take hold. That is something we can all too often do way too much in business, where we're like, oh, this shiny object over here, this new possible way of making money over here, this strategy, that strategy. Oh, that wasn't working. Let's course correct and change and do something brand new. And realizing that a lot of times, even things that are really good things can be just that, distractions that drain your time, drain your energy, and do not help you grow a giant business like a giant pumpkin. Then he said, focus all your attention on your top clients, nurture and protect them, find out what they want more than anything. And if it's in alignment with what you do best, give it to them. Then replicate that same service or product as for as many of the same types of clients possible. So he talks finding clients that you would want to be stranded on a desert island with. They are people that you love hanging out with, and they are good for you, and you are good for them. And then figure out how to serve them best by asking better questions. And then you'll be able to serve more people like them, and you will thrive as well. Then he said, watch your company grow to a giant size. I loved this very simple, straightforward book. What I really loved is that he put in, I think it was 11 stories of somebody in 11 different industries. So 11 different times he replicated, or he used this idea of saying, okay, well, what if you're in farming, or what if you're in the airline industry, or what if you are a consultant? He showed how you can use your industry to pumpkin plan your specific industry. And what he said so many amazing things in this book, and I do not have time to cover all of them, but really what he said is more is not better. So often we can say, well, just more clients is better for my business. And he says, no, actually more is not better. He says better is better. That means having better clients is better than having more clients. Then he goes on to say, you do really want a lot of very much good, better clients. I'm using a lot of funny English there, but he says more better is more better. So again, a little bit of Mike's funny humor there. But what is interesting about the whole thing is that we don't just want to have any kind of business where we're going 100 different directions and trying to handle multiple kinds of problems. Instead, we want to focus all of our attention and resources on solving the problems for ideal clients. What I thought was also extremely important is that he said, there's a picture I actually want to show you before I wrap up today. And that is this 3 concentric circles. And I don't know if you can see that very well. I'm going to explain it here. But what he says is that first you need to figure out your top clients. And then another circle is your unique offering. The third circle is systematization. Don't know how to say that word. Systematize, something like that. Anyway, so what he says is that if you are focusing on your top clients, that's one circle in the Venn diagram. Another is your unique offering. And he said that needs to be extremely authentic to you. This should not be a replica of anyone else or any other business. And then he says, figure out your area of innovation. I think that's what AOI stands for, area of innovation. And that is going to be, it is area of innovation. This is the way that you bring service to the marketplace. This could be that you compete best on price. Maybe you compete best on quality. Maybe it's best on speed, or you're maybe just the best in terms of an experience. But he says you need to figure out which one. You cannot compete on all of them. You can't be the best in price and the best quality and the best speed. That just doesn't even make sense. He also said that to win a record like the Guinness Book of World Records, really, you don't need to be 1,000 times better than everyone else. You just need to be 1 second faster, or if it's a race, a half a second faster. 1 pound or half a pound larger wins the big ticket. So that wins the prize. So in your area of innovation, figure out how to be the best by this much, but the absolute best in that specific area. And this whole thing then revolves around the idea that if you're working with a very targeted audience and you are using your unique area of innovation, your unique ability for your company, not just you personally, but your company's unique area of innovation, then you can systematize. You're not trying to one off everything. And that's where we drain so much energy, because we're trying to do one thing over here, then change hats and do something completely different for a different customer. Instead, you want to have repeatable processes that you can use over and over. He actually likened that to having processes in your company that are as simple and easy to follow as those inserts in the airplane, the seat pocket in front of you when you open them up. And this is like all the procedures for when you have to exit the aircraft in case of an emergency. Anyone can go through and explain what is in those pictures, because they have simplified the process. They've systematized to the point that anyone can do it. And so that's where you want to be when you're working with ideal clients. In your area of strength, you want to systematize. I think that's the right way to pronounce that word. Then he said that's going to then kill the curve. And this I thought was really profound. So in any area of development, you can see a bell curve where people are maybe early adopters, and then a lot of people get on board with something, and then there's a late adoption, and then kind of the end of something. And he talks about the rise and fall of a business in that same way, where you're starting out and then you're growing, and then there might be, after that peak, there might be a point where it becomes obsolete. And not necessarily does every business become obsolete, but he goes through talking about companies that innovated because the product that they focused on then became obsolete, and they had to innovate again so that they could create a new curve. And what was really interesting is he said that you don't just want to compete with other people, but instead to kill the curve. I'm going to pull this up again. He said, you want to be in a position that you're creating something so brand new that when you're on the curve, he said, you have competitors, but you want to create something so radical that it annihilates the curve. What that means is you're not just trying to do what everyone else is doing. You're doing something so unique to you that nobody else is competing. And that is just a fascinating idea. There can be so many different ways of serving people in this world that we don't have to compete with each other. Unique businesses based on who you are and what you have to offer. And lastly, another really fascinating idea that was really just personal for me in this book was the idea that I don't just have to be proud of what I can do. I can be proud of what my team does. And that is powerful. If we can build a team, then we don't have to be the one with the big ego saying, look what I can do, how special and amazing I am. Instead, we can be a true business builder that is really focusing on being in that sweet spot, which is the middle of that Venn diagram I shared with you earlier. And we can be in a position that we can be super proud of what our team does. Now, before I let you go, I'm going to try to check over and see if I have any comments. I don't see any right now, and that's totally just fine. I hope that actually went live, and it's been a pleasure to share this with you today. If you got anything out of this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you are a fan of Mike Michalowicz's, like I am as well, love to hear your thoughts there. And if you are building a business, I would love to be friends. This whole idea of being entrepreneurially minded business owner is so fascinating to me. And I want you to know that you can build a life and business you love. We'll see you next time.